So the next topic we are going to discuss here is wildcards in Java for generics. And wildcards are kind of a difficult concept to explain here. I have changed our project up a little bit to save some time, and I have created a new method here called printl, and I have modified our printer class. What I did here is I took out our bounded type, so printer is now unbounded. Printer can accept any type T, and the reason for this is because wildcards are going to be used in a situation where you might not be able to bend T or set a bounded type inside of the class. For example, let's say that printer was not a class we created and we didn't have the source to it, and printer took any type T. But we wanted to do something with all kinds of printers. So we wanted to create some method that operated on all kinds of printers that took print cartridges, for example. We need to be able to do that, but we don't have access to that source code. So this is where wildcards can help us here. So you might think that a way to do that is in this printl method that I have created here, that we are going to pass in the printer and we are going to call getCartridge. I created the getCartridge method on printer in order to get the cartridge that is currently set to the printer. And then we could call our getFillPercentage and be able to print that out. Now there is a problem here, which is first of all that just using printer without a generic at all. It doesn't know that we have this getFillPercentage because printer, the getCartridge that comes back, isn't going to know anything about this. If you look here, since printer can be of any type, that means that what getCartridge can return can be of any type. And so in this case, we are restricted down to the same methods that exist on all types, or that exist on object, for example, which getFillPercentage is not one of those. So somehow we need to specify that the printer that we are going to pass in is of a type of iCartridge in order to be able to call this getFillPercentage. So you can see I have declared two printers up here, a printer and a printer 2, and one has a black and white cartridge and one has a color cartridge. So both of them are types of printers that implement iCartridge. So we might think at first that we could just do this printer of type iCartridge. And now we can actually call getFillPercentage. But there's a problem here. If you look at the printl method call, there is an error here. It won't let us pass in the printer, because in Java, printer of type iCartridge, even though iCartridge is implemented by BWCartridge and color cartridge, printer BWCartridge is not a child. It does not implement printer iCartridge. It's a totally different thing here. In some languages, this would be the same. You could say printer iCartridge and printer BWCartridge would be a type of printer iCartridge. And even though this conceptually makes sense and it seems like this should work, but it doesn't work in Java. And part of this is because of another topic we are going to talk about next, which is because of erasures. But regardless of that, we need some way to specify that our method is going to take any printer that extends iCartridge. So any printer that is T of iCartridge. And if we were able to use a bounded type before, we had done this in the previous example, but in the instance where we can't control our type from inside printer because maybe we don't have access to the source code, we need a way to basically declare printer iCartridge. The way that we do this with wildcards, if we were able to change our class here, if you remember, we would just set printer extends and then iCartridge. But we can do kind of the flip side here, and we can use a wildcard. We use this question mark extends iCartridge. And what this means is, it just means that this variable will hold any type that extend that is of printer, but is of type iCartridge. So that whatever the T is that we pass into the printer, as long as it extends iCartridge, then this variable will be able to hold it. then this allows us to basically pass into this parameter either a BW cartridge or a color cartridge. And then we can actually use the getFill percentage on that, because again it's working just like we had with the bounded types, where we knew that because we have restricted the type for printer down here, that we know that the methods that are on iCartridge must exist.